That heavy feeling in the pit of your stomach is not just anxiety about the bills. It is a corrosive weight of a deep internal conflict. You are stuck in the agonizing paradox of financial striving. You believe that monumental transformations demand monumental actions, a massive career pivot, a life-altering investment, some Herculean feat of discipline. And because you are already worn out from the everyday hustle, you feel fundamentally incapable of starting that change. Prosperity, in your mind, feels less like an attainable reality and more like a distant privilege reserved for the lucky, the naturally gifted, or those who start the race miles ahead of you. This is a sign of laziness. It is emotional fatigue of helplessness, a pain reinforced by the invisible shame of trying so hard yet consistently falling short. You see the gap widening between your enormous effort and your frustratingly stagnant results. And instead of questioning the strategy, you question your own self-worth. It is a profoundly painful place to live, yet it is a deeply common one, because the true struggle is never about money itself. It is about the emotional relationship we hold with it when the doors are closed and no one else is watching. This emotional fatigue is a shadow cast by your unconscious programming, the ghost in the financial machine. Think back, not just to what you were taught about saving or budgeting, but to the emotional texture of money in your childhood home. Was it the subject of whispered arguments? The source of palpable stress? Did you hear phrases repeated like, "We can't afford that," or "You have to sacrifice happiness to be wealthy," or perhaps, "Money changes people for the worse"? These are not innocent phrases. They are the foundational code of your current reality. Your brain, wired for safety and consistency, runs these ancient programs even if they flatly contradict your adult goals. You desperately want abundance, but your internal beliefs about wealth, that it requires compromise, changes who you are, or separates you from the people you love, act as an invisible financial thermostat. This thermostat automatically pulls your actual results back down to the comfortable, familiar temperature of scarcity. Until we identify this source code, we are doomed to repeat its output, manifesting in a contaminated routine of scarcity habits. Comparisonitis, impulsive decisions driven by emotional voids, obsessive focus on the threat of loss, and the paralyzing fear of a future you already anticipate failing in. The first critical myth we must shatter is the devastating idea that your current financial reality is a permanent reflection of your inherent worth. It is not. It is merely a temporary manifestation of your current dominant vibration, shaped entirely by those limiting beliefs we just uncovered. Perhaps you internally hold the belief, "I must struggle to be deserving of success." We must actively replace that with the empowering truth. My financial success is inevitable, ethical, and aligns perfectly with my highest purpose. You might believe wealth is morally ambiguous and separates me from my community. We shift that narrative to, wealth is a powerful amplifier. It allows me to magnify my positive impact on the world and support the people I care about. Prosperity is not a reward reserved for suffering. It is the natural, inevitable consequence of becoming energetically available for opportunity. We are rewriting the deepest parts of your inner script. Understanding that the universe responds less to the sheer force of how hard you push, and far more to clarity and alignment of how ready you are to receive what is already flowing toward you. This is less about stressful effort and entirely about intentional internal revision. This transformation pivots on a single, elegant, and often dismissed truth. Prosperity is not dependent on those grand, stressful achievements you dread. It depends entirely on the small, daily changes. Shifts so simple, in fact, that most people dismiss them as irrelevant and too minor to matter. Yet, these are the intentional actions that break patterns of scarcity and begin to weave a powerful field of opportunity around you. The shift begins with intentional action, not brute force. Start with gratitude, not for the massive wealth you aspire to, but for the tangible financial sufficiency you already possess. Spend 5 minutes every day writing down genuine instances of financial security, however small, the ability to buy groceries, the fact that the heat works, the reliability of your income. This practice instantly moves your focus from lack to abundance, changing your energetic output. Next, Practice conscious consumption. Introduce a mandatory 24-hour pause before any non-essential purchase, giving you the necessary space to identify if the impulse is rooted in true value or merely emotional compensation. Begin to use visualization, not as wishful thinking, but as a deliberate mental rehearsal of managing money calmly, not frantically reacting to it. These tiny, repeatable shifts reposition your energy, consistently turning your attention away from the paralyzing problems and toward empowering solutions. This is the truth of manifestation. Your repeatable routine shapes your vibration, and your vibration fundamentally dictates your results. The greatest, most impactful shift you will ever make is the overhaul of your core identity. You must stop identifying as someone who struggles with money, the victim of circumstance, the person who never seems to catch a break, and consciously claim the powerful identity of someone who attracts, manages, and masters money well. This new financial identity is built on unwavering integrity, emotional maturity, and clarity. You are no longer using money to compensate for feelings of inner emptiness or inadequacy. Instead, you are investing your resources in growth, value, and lasting security. This identity is rooted in the understanding that your prosperity is never selfish. It is essential fuel for your deepest purpose. When you operate from a foundation of financial stability, you unlock the time, capacity, and emotional bandwidth required to contribute your unique gifts to the world without the exhausting, destructive drag of chronic worry or debt. You are stepping fully into the role of the sovereign steward of your own financial flow, recognizing that money is simply a neutral, powerful tool and energy, and a magnifying glass for the highest potential version of yourself. The final and most crucial step is unwavering, non-negotiable commitment. A conscious, daily alignment with your new financial identity. This is not a project you finish. It is an evolution you maintain. Close your eyes for a brief moment and feel the absolute grounding of this new truth settling within your core. Repeat this affirmation, not as a whisper of hope, but as an undeniable statement of fact. I am financially sovereign. I attract abundance effortlessly. I manage my resources with wisdom, clarity, and peace. My expanding prosperity serves my highest purpose and benefits all those around me. Recognize this vital urgency. As long as you cling to your old routine, the old negative thoughts, the toxic comparisons, the fearful reactions, you are guaranteeing the maintenance of your old life. But by integrating these intentional, simple shifts, you immediately trigger a new, dynamic flow. Abundance is never something you must frankly chase or wrestle into submission. It naturally seeks and finds those who are emotionally, mentally, and practically prepared to receive it. Today, you commit to becoming prepared. This is not merely a financial transformation. It is the conscious evolution of your entire life. The journey begins now, not with monumental, exhausting leap, but with the next intentional breath, the next grateful thought, and the next conscious, aligned choice. You are ready. Alex sat at his kitchen table, the pale blue light of his laptop illuminating the dreaded financial spreadsheet. This familiar scene was a historical battleground where the ghosts of scarcity and inadequacy always ambushed him. It was the end of the month, the moment of reckoning, the time he usually felt a familiar, tight knot of panic constricting his chest, compelling him to frantically search for errors or scapegoats. But today, something fundamental was different. He had spent weeks rigorously practicing the small, intentional shifts, the micro habits of gratitude, the conscious 24-hour pause before impulse spending, the quiet mental rehearsal of managing his fund with dignity rather than desperation. He noticed the tightness was still there, a faint echo of the old programming. Yet his reaction was entirely new. He breathed, observing the anxiety as a distant cloud, refusing to let it rain down on his present focus. As he reviewed the numbers, the true magnitude of his internal shift solidified. He saw a few small financial missteps, a moment of weakness during a stressful afternoon. But instead of spiraling into the customary shame that used to immobilize him for days, he felt a curious, detached compassion for his past self. He logged the errors, noted the lessons learned, and adjusted his projection without self-flagellation. This, he realized, was the first true evidence of financial maturity, the ability to observe temporary failure without absorbing it as a permanent flaw or personal condemnation. He looked at the balance, not as a judgment of his worth, but as a neutral scorecard reflecting the collective emotional integrity of his decisions over the past 30 days. The profound realization that had been building throughout this transformation crystallized in that quiet moment. He had always erroneously believed that prosperity was a massive, external key that would eventually unlock his inner peace and stability. The whole journey had revealed the inverse truth. Inner peace, grounded in self-acceptance and emotional mastery, was the essential, non-negotiable key that unlocked the capacity for prosperity. Money, he understood now, was not a demanding master or a fickle prize. It was a perfect mirror. When he acted from internal chaos, worry, and reactive fear, his financial outcomes were invariably chaotic. When he began to act from intentional gratitude, disciplined patience, and self-respect, even if the initial external results were modest, the flow became stable, predictable, and reliable. He was no longer chasing abundance, running ragged after an illusion of external security. He was simply aligning with it, allowing it to find him because his internal frequency had changed. This is the ultimate implication of true financial transformation. The most valuable asset you possess is not your bank account balance, but the quality of your internal state. The true measure of Alex's success wasn't the modest increase in his savings that month. It was the quality of his sleep the night before, the lack of crippling anxiety during the day, and the clear, expansive vision he now held for his future. He wasn't rich, not yet, but he was profoundly wealthy in resilience, peace, and self-possession. The old, paralyzing fear of money had been successfully replaced by a calm, powerful respect for money as an energy flow and a tool for impact. The journey does not end with a spectacular event. It continues with quiet, unwavering commitment to maintain this state of internal alignment. This is the only commitment that matters now. By holding fast to the small, daily disciplines, the morning reflection, the conscious pause, the refusal to entertain scarcity narratives, Alex ensures that the positive flow he has initiated will sustain and deepen. The life he is building is no longer a desperate compensation for inner lack, but an organic, generous expansion of his inner wholeness. This mastery grants not just wealth, but an indestructible freedom, the freedom from the exhausting emotional roller coaster of financial anxiety. He is now truly the sovereign steward of his resources, ready to receive the continuous stream of abundance that naturally seeks those who are prepared to honor and respect its presence. The evolution is complete, and yet it is just beginning. Step forward. Knowing the external world is now simply catching up to the powerful, peaceful identity you have claimed within.